Crowdfunding is a modern and growing way to secure funding. Crowdfunding has become a very popular way to raise money for independent films, music, art, and community projects, as well as gadgets, inventions, and new technologies. Think 3D printer or the Veronica Mars movie. People can procure capital through crowdfunding sites by creating compelling marketing campaigns that offer the community at large the option to donate or invest in a business idea or creative endeavor in exchange for perks like pre-sale products, gifts, and other novelties. The money raised is usually in the form of donations, securities, or rewards. Crowdfunding can make sense for a lot of businesses, such as companies that are too young or too small to qualify for traditional funding. Dan Shapiro, the inventor of robot turtles, found that crowdfunding was the perfect solution for getting his product off the ground.
We invented a board game. It was called Robot Turtles. And the idea of Robot Turtles is that the kids are little programmers, and they have instruction cards that they use to program their turtles. Since I had a little time before I had to go back to work, I decided to try something a little different with it. So I decided to put Robot Turtles on Kickstarter. The minimum factory order was 1,000 units. So I'd have to find a way to get something to do with 1,000 units other than put them in my garage. And the neat thing about Kickstarter is that you get the money up front so that you can go and know exactly how many units you're going to build. You don't have to try and forecast demand. When I put it up, I was really nervous about whether or not I was going to make my minimum and get to make the game. Well, I hit the minimum in the first 5 hours. By the time the 25 days were done, I'd sold 24 tons of Robot Turtles. That was pretty overwhelming. In total, I raised $631,000, 25 times what I'd set out to do. Now here I sit, a month and a half away from my delivery date. Everything looks good, and my attention is 100% focused on figuring out how to deliver these 24 tons of board games to 65 different countries and try and get as many as possible delivered in time for the holidays. It is exhilarating.
Because crowdfunding is so different than most types of funding, we compiled a few best practices to help you get started. First, try getting advance commitment from your personal network. You can jumpstart your campaign with donations from friends and family. Know your target audience. Most successful campaigns target a specific, narrow, and passionate niche. Tell your story by creating a compelling video to state why your project should be funded. First impression is crucial. Plan in advance. Determine the length and different reward levels of your campaign before starting. Create a social media campaign to help spread awareness. Lastly, stay in touch with the people who have donated to your campaign. Keep them in the loop as if they were part of the company. There are also some pitfalls to avoid. Here's some advice of what not to do from Candace Klein, a co-author of the legislation that became the Jobs Act. Don't set unrealistic expectations. Don't assume that just because you've set up the campaign that people will show up. Try to not set up donation amounts that are too small. Most people tend to choose smaller donation amounts, which may make it harder for you to reach your target goal. Don't forget to account for all your expenses, especially if you're sending rewards to crowdfunders. You'd be surprised at how many people make that mistake. Crowdfunding can appeal to lots of new businesses, especially those interested in pre-selling or believe that their product or service has a strong community appeal. Having social capital can be key to a successful crowdfunding campaign, as Erica Dorn explains.
But when you're going to raise money through crowdfunding, you have to think about how strong your social capital really is. So one of the reasons that many crowdfunding campaigns fail is that they haven't built up a strong network that's engaged and ready to act on giving during their campaign. So make sure before you decide to run a crowdfunding campaign that you have energized your networks and that first and foremost you actually have a really strong network.
Crowdfunding is not a great fit for every company. Other means of funding may be more efficient and easier to secure. It truly depends on the product, business model, and most importantly, the business owner's approach. To learn more, check out some of the more popular crowdfunding sites like Indiegogo, Kickstarter, Spark Market, Rocket Hub, and PeerBackers. There is even a crowdfunding platform for exporting called TradeUpFund.com.